Morning. So I paid all my debts, put an extra 50 towards reducing my rent backlog because I got a rent backlog when I switched from pension during the yearly pension inspection to Social Security, and my pension numbers went down. So for a while there, I was not rich enough to pay the entire amount. And the payment that was automatic that I wasn't aware of even was not being paid in full. So I ended up getting a slight backlog. So I put 50 towards that. I paid off all my debts and I invested 50 euros into this company called Valoe, which is a Finnish, I think Lithuanian is one of the countries where they have a factory solar panel producer, and they used to have a much higher company stock value, I believe something on the order of 5 euros a stock, which is low, but they are currently at on the order of something like 5 cents a stock anyway, so very, very low. And they have enough equity and sales to be reasonably positioned to start making a profit at some point during this century. And due to the growth of the solar panel industry worldwide, they have enough background demand increase that they should, in theory, be able to keep up at least somewhat in the market, even if it goes badly for them. So I bought it because if it happens to go to no growth, just what they had in the beginning, the value of my stock will go up on the order of 20 times. So that's why I bought it. I scanned the Finnish stock exchange and looked for any companies still listed, because being listed actually costs you, so you assume that they at the very least have some amount of money, and with a very low stock value and something I did not have before. And the name Valoe caught my eye because Laie, and it had such a low stock value that I could actually buy like 700 stocks of it or something with 50 euros. So I did this before, where I bought these cheap low-end stocks and I didn't hold on to them long enough to have the sufficient growth, but now I don't consider it unlikely that I consider it unlikely that I'll not be able to hold on to these. Eventually, the state might go through another period of checking my debts and everything, so they might repossess my ownings at some point, but currently the stated amount in my backlog is 0. So it is likely that I might be able to hold on to these savings. Possibly not, though. And the first company that I bought with my own money was called Arafak. It is a Finnish, as well as around 5 European countries and some African countries, mining company, which is trying to diversify away from doing like regular mining where you dig in the ground and do that sort of work, to a mining company that specializes in recycled metals from waste dumps and such. So it's a very green company in that regard, because they represent one of the ideas that if you work well enough with your backside, you will get a pleasurable front side, if you will. So that's what I'm looking for. Something that has a response to something that we need and commonly use. One moment, trying to find my comb. There it is. Something that we need and commonly use, but with some kind of new answer for it. So it is not the same kind of waste producing method we currently use, but still solves the problem of providing something that we need. So that's what I'm looking for. A company that, well, that's a large head. A company that recycles metals from waste dumps to like usage sounds exactly like what I'd go for. And a solar panel company also sounds exactly like what I'd go for. So those are the two starters. I do have a secondary desire of working with the stereotypes in that I might buy a British naval company, for example, instead of a British, let's say, coal mine. And I'm going to try to kind of, in a way, keep this reasonably stereotypical so that it isn't racist negative stereotypes, but rather stuff that people are known for. Like Africa has a lot of minerals. It's one of the most mineral rich continents on the planet. So an African mine is a logical choice, but just because of the history of the African slave trade, you might not want a African slave company just because it's economically profitable. So you might want to have some societal awareness. And I might do something for fun, like buy stocks in an abortion company in Texas, for example. We'll see. But before I start battling these stereotypes, I'm looking to say which of them I'm acceptable with. Such as the stereotypes that Finns are environmental people living in mud huts and trees. Fine. You know, we're actually one of the most per capita polluting people on the planet. So you might not want to rely on that particular stereotype, which is why it's okay, but something you might want to be aware of the side effects of. So that's what I'm working with here. If the people that want to be the people that are perceived to be the most ecological want to make an effort to actually fulfill that prophecy, then I will help them. If the people with the most mineral wealth of anyone on the planet want to be known for using the mineral wealth well, why not? But you do realize that this kind of stereotype is not always helpful. So next investment will be in 2 weeks on the 22nd of this month when I get my other part of the pension coming in. The start of the month, I get one part of the pension as well as the housing benefits, and at the middle of the month, I get another part of the benefit of the pension, but no housing benefits. So I pay my rent and my debts and such at the start of the month, and then try to not accumulate, but occasionally accumulate debt at the end of the month because the middle month payment is smaller than the start of the month. So at the middle month, if there is still enough money, which there should be, I will be looking at buying something in perhaps the US, looking at something stereotypical and healthy. And based on my visit to Texas, I would say wind power. There were an inordinate amount, especially compared to Finland, of wind turbines everywhere. They were very prevalent. And the locals said that the wind turbines are actually a good invention. They weren't thinking of them in terms of ecological good. They were just thinking more factories. They weren't investing in them because they're ecological. They were investing in them because they wanted more industry. The Texas mindset had nothing to do with wanting to be more ecological. There was the desire, as there is in everyone else, but their reason for putting up the wind turbines was simply because the country is very windy and the electricity from them is very cheap. So every farmer had essentially a wind turbine. The country was built different in terms of industry compared to Finland. Everybody had something going on. The guy I stayed with had his own Wi-Fi mast on a 40-meter tall or 40 feet tall structure from which he used to sell internet supplies to people. So everybody had something going on. It wasn't like leisurely countryside, which is different to Finland. In Finland, when you're in the countryside, if you start thinking of your particular plot of land in terms of what industry you can build there, the locals will smoke you out. They won't like you making industry randomly on like a beachfront property. In the US, nobody would pay 2 cents of a mind if a rich guy built a wind turbine on his land. Over here, they would be all very upset about it. Which is, as I said, because we are nowhere near as ecological as the stereotype would have you believe. Which is why I'm in favor of, now that I actually have money, turning us from a stereotype of greenness to a reality of greenness. Turning Africa from a stereotype of wealth to a reality of wealth, which is the stereotype. Realizing the potential of those choices. So I have, over the span of the last 2 weeks, spent $20 on weed. Usually I would spend a lot more, but I have this CBD that I bought, and it is sold for the purpose of quitting tobacco. And I have to tell you this. Holy shit, is this not the thing I was looking for? This is just the thing that I needed. If I'd gotten this as a medication, I would have been insanely happy. THC, no, not for me. Even the first experience was uncomfortable. This is just the opposite of coffee, not the opposite of cocaine in terms of relaxation. If coffee wakes you up and weed makes you fall asleep, then CBD is the opposite of coffee, while THC is the opposite of cocaine. Oh. So long story short, here is the thing. So you can see it's neither very good nor very bad. You can see from roughly the first impression of the, for example, the font and the softness around it, as well as the color scheme, that it's not a top of the line company. But you can also see from the very high quality second part of the page that they are doing something, but something about their front face is wrong. But because they have a steady, well supplied back base, they will eventually be able to correct the front, which means that they are one of the guys I might want to invest in. There's something about them that is off, but for the most part, it seems like they will be doing well. So that is the company I'm investing in. Next one will be something equally stereotypical and positive. But thank you for watching. I might want to do something today. I'll need to buy a couple of things because the money came in. So thank you for watching.